What up, everybody? We're going to do a little knife review here. As you see in front of you and by the title of the video, we've got the Ganzo F720. This is a follow-up video to one I posted about a week ago, which was an unboxing and initial impression video. And now that I've got about a week of carry and use under the belt with this knife, I've got a little bit more of an educated opinion on it. We'll knock out a couple of things from the get-go. This is a $20 knife. All right. I'm going to judge it as a $20 knife. I'm not going to compare it to more expensive knives. That would not be fair to the more expensive knives, and it would not be fair to this knife. If I say that I like this knife, or I point out something that's good or bad about this knife, that is from the respective view that it is a $20 knife. All right, the next thing. Yes, it looks like a Lion Steel SR1, although not exactly the same as far as looks go. And yes, it's got an axis top lock, a piston lock, like Benchmade is famous for. It is not a clone knife. It is not marketed as or marked as any specific thing other than a Ganzo product. All right, the packaging on this, you can see this is one of the newer F series, the Firebird series from Ganzo. And what that is, that's just an internal branding. Ganzo is an OEM manufacturer. They make knives for other companies, and they've brought out their own products. And just recently, in the last, I don't know, 6 or 9 months, they've started with this Firebird branding. And I believe that's what they're going to go with for their products from here on out. Here's your label for that, is model F720-GR for green. Of course, it has a green handle. We'll open this packaging up, take a look at what we got here, set the box down. It is an internal slide box. You get this microfiber pouch. This is the same exact kind of pouch you get with a Benchmade knife. It's really nice. And it's got the Firebird marking, which of course I'm holding upside down. There you go. All right. All of this is really hard to do while you're standing behind a camera, looking through the camera screen rather than looking directly at what you're holding in your hand. Anyway, we'll do the specifications on this knife. It is a large knife and it is a heavy knife. Let's go over the specs on it. The blade length is 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters. The blade thickness is 144 thousandths of an inch or 3.7 millimeters. The blade width, 1.25 inches or 32 millimeters. The handle length, 4.75 inches or 12 centimeters. The handle thickness is 680 thousandths of an inch or 17.5 millimeters. The handle width, 1.3 inches or 33 millimeters. The closed width is 1.6 inches or 41 millimeters. The overall length, 8.5 inches or 21 centimeters. And for weight, we've got 7.37 ounces or 209 grams. All right, so this knife, like all Ganzos, the blade steel is 440C. We've seen the Ganzo 440C tested, thank you to Birdshot 4. And, in my use, while not super extensive or a scientific test, I had good use out of it. I had good edge retention. Only needed to strop it to bring back the factory edge, which was decent. I like 440C. Just remember, at one time, 440C was considered a very high-end stainless steel. It is a complex alloyed stainless steel. It has good wear resistance. It has enough carbon in it for good hardenability. It is fairly corrosion resistant, easy to take care of, easy to sharpen. Typically, you'll see it in the Rockwell hardness range, 57-59. And it is not as wear resistant as some of the newer super steels. So even at that 57 to 59 Rockwell range, it is a little easier to sharpen as more wear-resistant steels are wear-resistant to your sharpening system also. All right, the handle material is G10, and you can see it is machined. Not only do you have this machining, this radial pattern here, you can see that it is rounded over. It is what you would call 3D machined, and both sides match. It's very well done. There's no hot spots on it. The edge has been relieved after this machining. A lot of times with machining like this, if the edge is not relieved, these ridges will leave the as machined edge will be kind of sharp and be an irritant. All right. The back spacer is in a matching color G10. It is not Zytel or any other type of injection molded plastic. It is G10. You've got a stainless pocket clip, a very, very good design pocket clip. It is deep carry. It has plenty of space for whatever material of clothing you have, your pocket, whether you're wearing cargos or jeans. It will fit up under this pocket clip. It is polished and smooth. The shape is good. In the hand, there is no irritation from the pocket clip. I very, very much like this deep carry design. If you like deep carry, you will probably like this design. It is a lot like the Line Steel SR1. Even to the point of the way it mounts with this sort of look-alike quote-unquote glass breaker. This is one piece. I do not know what it's machined from, some type of stainless. I do not know how hard it is. It does not have a carbide insert, and actually the peak of it is pretty shallow and it's not too very sharp. I don't know if I would trust using this as a glass breaker. I think perhaps I would rather just pick up a brick. All right. The lock on it, as I said before, is it's a piston lock, what's considered a piston lock. It's what is commonly referred to as a Benchmade axis lock. It is well executed. No, it is not as smooth as a Benchmade, but at $20 you're not going to get the level of finishing of contact points that you are in a Benchmade. And by that I mean, you can see here on the blade tang, this radius here that rides against that lock pin under spring pressure. All right, it is not finished as smooth, although this knife is pretty doggone smooth. The main thing, the main drawback with Ganzos, with the axis type lock that I have seen, is the omega springs they use to keep this piston forward into the lock position are very stout. They are a stronger spring than I have seen on just about any Benchmade that I've handled. So it's a little harder to pull this piston back, you know, to fight the spring resistance. As far as that goes, the knife is pretty smooth. Oh, you can flick it open, you can flick it closed, flick it open, flick it closed. So without the spring pressure, it's pretty smooth on its own. The bearings, one side phosphor bronze, the other side is a white Zytel, I'm sure. Some sort of polymer. I wish it had phosphor bronze on both sides. And honestly, I don't understand why so many manufacturers of lower end knives do this hybrid washer system. Phosphor bronze on one side and the Zytel on the other side. The cost difference between them is pretty slight. If it raised the cost of the knife $2 to use phosphor bronze on both sides, I believe that would be acceptable to just about anybody. All right, so lockup is solid. Okay, there is no play of any type, and I'm putting a lot of pressure on that. There's no play of any type, radial, lateral, at all. Like I say, the action, other than the spring pressure, is, you know, it's smooth. It feels good, actually. I'm pleasantly surprised by this. And all I had to do with it is what I typically do with knives. I wash that pivot out, and then I hit it with some lubricant. and I use it like a nano oil type lubricant on it, and it's very nice. It worked right in almost instantly. All right. The closed, let's look at it, centering, yeah, it's pretty spot on. If it's not perfect, it's damn near close to it. So the quality of the knife, the design of the knife is proven. As I said, you've got the best aspects of the line steel SR1 design in that wide drop point with plenty of belly, nice thick blade stock. It's stout, and the handle is very comfortable. The radius handle. It's hand filling but not overbearing. It's not too big. It's very comfortable for a work piece. It's very secure. A combination of the handle profile and the texturing on it makes it a very secure handle. I will say that the jimping on the back of the blade is pretty useless. It is rounded over and pretty soft. There is a slight ramp you can see here, so you get the benefit of that. But I think most of your purchase and feeling of security is going to come from that handle design overall, and not the jimping. Not the worst jimping I've ever seen, but not the best either. All right, so for a $20 knife that takes design cues from the line steel SR1, it takes a lock design from Benchmade. Both are solid, both are comfortable. It's got decent blade steel. I'm going to say at $20, it's a great deal. Okay? Now, this knife does have some issues, quote unquote issues. The first thing is, this has thick stainless liners. They're heavy liners, and that does add to the knife feeling strong and stout. It's not flexible in any way. The combination of those liners with basically a 2/3, almost 3/4 length G10 backspacer makes it feel like a very strong knife, and with the lock having no play in it, that just adds to that feeling. But with those thick liners that are not milled, you can look down in there, they are not milled in any way whatsoever. It comes weight. At 7.37 ounces, you are up there in weight comparable to a pretty stout fixed blade knife, and heavier than a lot of fixed blade knives in that size range. And we all know that a fixed blade is stronger than a folder no matter what, because it's made out of one piece of steel, and a folder is multiple parts held together with small hardware. So there is a trade-off on the weight. In my example, the fit and finish, the blade grinds are not completely even, the primary grind here, and that affects the edge geometry. It's not perfect, but I believe when we put this on the KME, we're going to straighten that out. And I'm still using a factory edge on it. I do not reprofile or sharpen until I blunt that factory edge down. And so it's not absolutely perfect. And I don't know if you can see, but right up here, there is a little slip, a little dip. If you rub your finger across it, you can barely feel it. If the light hits it the right way, there you see that reflection. There is a little dip in that on the show side. The back side, it looks fantastic. It actually does look very good for a knife in this price point. And overall, I'm very happy with that. Handle-wise, everything is pretty perfect, except back here, there is a slight gap between the steel liner and the backspacer on the back side here. You cannot see it with your eyes. You just can't see it. But if you hold it up to bright light, you can see through there. I initially thought the backspacer had been ground concave, but I don't think that's the issue, and I don't think that the liner is bent either. It looks like when the backspacer was drilled, there is some material, a burr around this hole here and back here, and it's causing it to set off of that liner just a little bit. I believe if I took this apart and just dressed that burr off of that, then it would fit perfectly. But I do not want to take this knife apart because of the lock top and the hassle of working with those Omega springs. And you know what? I can't see that. It doesn't affect the knife. The centering is good. There's no issue with the lockup. I'm not going to take this knife apart. If it was a little more expensive knife and I wanted to tune it up and everything and wasn't happy with it, I would take it apart. But I'm not. Other than that, I can't think of any real problems with this knife. In my opinion, it's a great deal. This is the third Ganzo knife that I've bought, and I've already bought another one, and a review on it will be coming up soon. And the first two were a couple of their carbon fiber models with the blued hardware. I bought those last year and gave them away as Christmas gifts, and both people really like the knives. They've had good use out of them, no issues at all. The same as this, they've got the stiff Omega springs in them, but the fit and finish was exemplary on them, and they are great user knives that look beautiful. This knife, you know, it's not a looker. It's not a bad looking knife, but it's not something you would say is beautiful. It's a work knife. It screams work with me. When you pick it up in your hand, it feels like it needs to be working. It is very, very solid feeling, and you can tell by the sound that it makes when it locks up. It just feels secure. The lockup feels secure. The handle feels secure. The blade stock thickness makes it feel strong. I'm very happy with the knife overall. So in closing, Ganzo knives in general. You know what? I recommend Ganzo knives. No, I'm not going to build a giant Ganzo collection, and they're not going to replace my higher end knives at all. But these knives bring something to the table that most other manufacturers don't. In that they have taken great aspects of other knives without cloning the knives, combine them together into a final product that is, in my opinion, a slight improvement in some aspects sometimes. Now, is this an improvement over the SR1? Well, no, it's not. That's an integral built knife with a frame lock. A very, very nice knife. Is it an improvement over Benchmade's with the Axis lock? No, it's not. It's not quite as smooth, and the springs are very stout. But I think in the essence that it combines two very good design aspects, that the outcome is very good. It's very high quality. It feels good in the hand. It performs well. Edge retention was good. I did some cutting with it. Cut cardboard. I cut wood. Typical daily, everyday carry type of stuff. Open envelope, cut down boxes. I didn't have any issue with the edge rolling or edge retention. No chipping. Nothing like that. It stropped right back to what the factory edge was. And I think that maybe I will, when I reprofile it and sharpen it, I'll do a little thinner edge. But, it's not too bad. So in closing, Ganzo F720, hell of a deal, hell of a deal, hell of a deal. I don't think you're going to get much better at this price point. Honestly, I don't. I've seen a lot at this price point. As a knife salesperson, I've seen just thousands and thousands of cheap knives at the $20 price point, and this is better than 99.9% of them and equal to the other 0.1%. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this helped open people's eyes on Ganzos a little bit more, which are right now sort of an insider thing in the knife world, and I think they deserve to be a little more well known. All right, thank you. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.